Hello friend, my name is Palash. Today the topic of discussion is terminal moist heat sterilization, and this will be a complete guide for your validation. So if you have a questions and if you want to learn, please stay with me. Don't skip any slides. Thank you. What is important to start with? Product, obviously. So if you wanted to start the validation, you must know the product. It's really important. Normally, there is two fundamentals how we sterilized uh, through moisture terminal sterilization process. One is like we provide a heat which is more than 121. We provide a heat which is less than 121. Be very specific. And this is compare as two approach. One is product specific approach and second one is overkill approach. When I speak about overkill approach, you can consider and you can keep in your mind which is 121 for 15 degree for 15 minutes of sterilizations within your product. Okay, so this is standard. It could be different as well. I will discuss in other slides as well. But for product specific approach is where your product is not really a heat stable. You could sterilize it even less than 121. You can go up to 110, which is still considered as a sterilization temperature. If you go beyond 110 degree, it it may be a heating process, may not be called as sterilization process. So be remember, when you select a product for the sterilization, that must sustain the range of the temperature I'm showing here. So you should have certain kind of studies in your R&D to see whether your product is sustaining in a high heat conditions, whether any kind of impurities the product is generating, and what else is important. Apart from that, I will explain in other slide. Terminal sterilization by moist heat, several equipment is available. You could do with a SAM steam air mixture. You could do with like superheated water, and even for a superheated water, there is a different variety of spraying as well. I could show you in later slide. But you should know first of all, the first one, the heat sensitivity of the product, whether the product is heat sensitive. If not only product, even the product contact surfaces, that means the primary packaging. It could happen your product is stable, but your packaging leaching the harmful chemical, so that also possible. Even the container type, the way the type of container you're choosing, is that comfortable, is that compatible with the sterilizations. It could be plastic bottle, it could be glass bottle, it could be refill syringe, it could be the SVP, like the small volume parenteral, it could be the large volume parenteral as well. And then closure type, it could be rubber, it could be plastic. So everything around your product, it should to be compatible with the heat. And you must have a evidence like in a high heating you are not generating the impurities. It's really important. And then you select the sterilization technology. If you have SVP, a small volume parenteral, and the volume is less than 100 ml, the container size, it could possible. You still could do a SAM mixture, like air-steam mixture you could use, because you must remember air-steam mixture, the way of technology is like take high heating and high cooling time, because you heat up your product by air and you cool your product by air. So it's a quite lengthy and time-taking process. But if you have a large volume parenteral, like most probably still you could do it like 250 ml. You could still use SAM if your product is really stable. But I will prefer if you are going beyond 250 or like 500 ml bags. If it is like a bigger one, 1 liter, 2 liter, 5 liter, I must prefer the superheated water technology. So because the medium is directly going to touch with your product, and the product could be heated up quite faster. One of the uh, demerit, I could say, like the product will be wet once you finish the sterilizations, but your precision of the um, temperature distribution could be very nice, like the well distributed across the chamber, because of the hot water, it is going to touch with your bag directly. So it's a different technology. You should must consider and must analyze which technology is fit for you. Yeah, and then throughput. So you must remember like the machine, as I explained, like spray machine and water distribution machine. They have their own um, capability. So if you're looking for like expansion for a future, it's may possible like you could expand easily in a small footprint your spray machine, but may not be the water cascade machine, because water cascade is one of the way of doing sterilization that need bit of more footprint. So you just need to bit of investigate like which machine need how much space, and if you expand in future, is that something capable of doing that, and then maintenance and market as well. So yeah, because based on the market you could use different approach of sterilizations, and sometimes it's different from US to Europe. So when you make some plan like how much FO you need and what is the strategy of your sterilization, what are the documents need to be submitted for the regulatory scrutiny, it could depend based on the regulatory requirement from different country to different region. So just to summarize, product and process evaluation, what you know actually, what you wanted to know. Manufacturer must conduct ongoing evaluations of the product ability to withstand with the selection condition, what I speak in my earlier slides here. The evaluation should encompass the essential quality attributes and attention focus on uh, known and potential new impurities, and those material are receive the most hit input. So it's really important, as I mentioned, like you must look at the potential new impurities and unknown, like what you're getting in your product based on this process. Manufacturer also evaluate the appropriate and other physical properties and container closure integrity. As I mentioned, like the high heat history could impact your container closure integrity as well, apart from the leachability. So your container must withstand with the container closure integrity after the process. Otherwise, you will lose the sterility of the product. And then, if it is a microbial media, it might miss the growth promotion study. Yeah. Let's talk about the approach quickly. So as I mentioned in my first slide, yeah, if you remember, it's overkill and product specific approach. So it needs different kind of informations. If I go back to my slide, you should see when I mentioned two process. So uh, overkill is always high heat history providing into the product, and when you provide a high heat history, your shelf life could be reduced because the product is stressed too much in the heat. And whereas in the product specific approach, the shelf life is more better. The reason is like you have more informations about the product bioburden. So we sterilized, we challenge, we validate the cycle based on the understanding of the actual bar, but they're not really treating with the high um, uh, standard biological indicator. Um, so yeah, so you see the heat input is quite high in the vertical approach, and that's how you expect the shelf life is declining. Let's get back to my other slide. So vertical approach, what you're expecting, the temperature must be more than 121, and product specific approach, temperature may not, temperature is 121 degree. So sorry, it's a mistake. Yes. So vertical approach temperature must be 121 degree, and the product specific approach temperature is more than 110 degree, because that is the minimum temperature you need to maintain if you claim your process is sterile. So F0 is 12 or 15 based on um, the requirement. Oh, I did mistake. And F012 normally in US it's expected to be 12, because they are looking for a 12 log reductions with the d value is equal to 1. So that's how the calculation is 12. Europe normally is looking for 121 for 15 minute of exposure during the whole time. So that's how people calculate as a 15-minute F0. So if your product is a global and it could be go to the US and Europe market, I will prefer like you keep it 15, so it's better. F08, I must say, like for the US, there is no specific requirement for the F0 is stated in the guidance. So they're looking for more the SAL calculations. So for them, you just need to define like based on your bioburden how much um, how much lethality you provide, and how much SL is calculated. If it is like better than 10 to the minus 6, it's okay. You can define. So as it is 6 log reductions, it could happen like you could able to prove your F0 6.1 could be fine for your product as well. So there is no as such requirement for the US, but keep in mind, if again your product is global, just make sure you have F0 of 8 um, at least end of your cycles is really important. Yeah. But as I mentioned, it's not really a very hard bound requirement for the product specific, because product specific is always bring the requirement from your product, from your in-house bioburden. So then this is a bit of calculations of the SL and F0. I will not explain uh, the F0 here. As you know, it's a quite common definitions. It's equivalent time in minutes at a station temperature 121 delivered by the process to the lot. Now this is SL calculation. SL log of SL is equal to minus F by D plus log N0. So what does it mean? Suppose you get a 30 F0 and use the value of T, the BI, the value of 2, and your initial spore count is in the BI is like 10 to the power 6. So then if you calculate, your SL will be 10 to the minus 9. So you could do it easily from the validation data, what you receive end of your cycle. You just place your minimum F0 requirement, minimum F0 receive from your cycle, and you place the BID value, and you place the uh, spore populations of your biological indicator here, and then you could easily calculate the SL end of your cycle. If you have any question, you can easily comment after this video. Okay, so this is ST mixture. It's a easy process. I will not explain this technology. It's all about you need a process steam, compress air, and cooling water. Normally, the air will come, the steam will come from below the heat exchanger, and it will mix with the air, and it will recirculate within the chamber. So it's really yes, the mixture is really air and mixture of the steam, and the process is a bit of slow as I mentioned, because you are heating up with the air and steam, and again you are cooling down with the cold uh, air actually. So that's how the process is quite lengthy, and it may not be very interesting for the heat sensitive product, but it could be okay for the solution like water for injections or saline solution is fine, where you don't really care about much about the heat stress to your product or container. Then water spray process, I feel like this is more efficient process, because you heat up the water, process water in a heat exchanger with the steam, and again you cool with the cooling water during the process, and this water is spraying very evenly in every shelf, every product, and it's very homogeneous, and your distribution delta is very nice when you receive your product. But the demerit is like as is a water spray process, so you get like the wet product end of the cycle, so you need a special drying cycle, or you need to make sure like how you dry your bags before it's went for packaging, further packaging and dispatch. So otherwise the spray process is very nice. So when I talk about the water spray process, one more process is there which is called cascade. So the difference between the process of spray and cascade, spray is evenly distributed in every shelf, the way you could design your machine, but for the cascade it's like cascading, it's like a waterfalls, like it's from top to bottom the water is getting fall. So as I mentioned in my earlier slide, the footprint, it could really important for this kind of machine if you wanted to sterilize, because you understand, as the water is coming from top to down, so it's the delta variations of the temperature, like the delta distributions of temperature is getting high from top to bottom, because the hot water touch to the top surface, and it's cooling down when it's getting the lower shelf. So the machine has a limited capability. You cannot make the machine bigger. It's need a longer footprint to have a longer machine, not really a taller machines. The taller machine could have a higher gradient temperature, which could introduce a variation to your product. But you need a quite a longer machines to have a longer footprint at your facility. But normally this machine is very nice, because this is very easy to maintain. It does not have a very critical design like the spray one, because the spray one having a manifold and like lots of nozzles. You need to make sure the nozzles does not really choke. And you need to maintain it quite well your spray machine. But whereas this cascade machine need less maintenance, burden is very simple in a way. I will tell, like, if you have a quite nice place to uh, install these, and your product does not really need like very uh, less attention on the variation, this machine could help. And normally it's most preferable for the food industry, um, and pharma as well. People use it, but most preferably for the food industry, they are quite popular solutions for them. Distillation equipment may require a qualification of air, water, utility, and other systems that impact the distillation equipment. So, as I mentioned, in every slide, we'll see like what are the utilities required for this machine. It's not really very hard. Like, you don't need a very hardcore WFIPW or like a pure steam for to run this kind of machines. But you need at least a few clean utility listed in every slides, you could see. Thanks for being with us. I will bring other part of this video quite soon. So I will quickly summarize to you what we speak during this presentation. We talked about what you wanted to look in your product design. Why I speak product design, because we speak about solution, we speak about primary container, closure, and throughput, bit of technology, maintenance, and US, Europe, and rest of the market, how you want to see your product to be distributed. So it's a bit of product design aspect, and we mentioned like what are the things you need to look at. Then we talk about bit of overkill and product specific, where we could mention overkill is more about heat stress to your product to have a, like more than 121-degree temperatures to achieve F0 of 12 or 15, looking at the market where the D value of BI must be more than 1.5, and it should to be geobacillus stereothermophilus. And for the product specific approach, it could be like temperature more than 110 degree and followed by the requirement, and it could have a choice of selecting other biological indicator, could be bacillus subtilis. Then we speak about different kind of technologies available around, which use air and steam, which use water spray, and again with the superheated water, we have a spray technology, we have a cascade technology. We talk about merits and demerits of these technologies. Then we talk about bit of the utility you need to qualify as a part of this process. Thank you, friends. Hope you like this series, like this video. In the next video, we'll start from empty chamber mapping, followed by biological indicator requirement, the value determinations, and PQ. So be with us, subscribe our channel to have a next update of this video. Thank you very much.